Welcome to all the LiFE Multi-Academy Trust parents and carers from the Winstanley School, Bosworth Academy and Council Academy.
All of our schools are really reflective and seek to sharpen their practice based on leading global educational research.
We want to provide you with a flavour of some of the strategies that we use to support the teaching and learning of your child in the classroom.
For many years, business leaders have been complaining that young trainees lack the ability to show initiative. And at the same time, students have often complained that some of the things they are taught at school simply aren't relevant. The real life curriculum is designed to address both of these issues and to empower students with the knowledge, skills and values they will need to thrive both now and in the future. Our design for the real life curriculum was based on leading research from global educational institutions, as well as some of the best practice we saw in operation from hugely successful schools around the world who have already adopted a similar style of teaching and learning. These schools have seen their students become more engaged, creative and proactive problem solvers, while also showing accelerated progress in areas such as reading and maths. This is achieved by coaching students to become leaders of their own learning. In the real life curriculum, everything that we teach is linked to its real world application, which ensures that it's relevant. We also use the United Nations Global Goals as the inspiration for the themes of our cross-curricular work, as these are the issues that will affect the world that our children will one day be responsible for. Within lessons, we immerse the students in the real world issue through various strategies, for instance, the use of virtual reality headsets, and we challenge them to come up with real life solutions to these real world problems. They are then taught to present their solutions publicly, as this adds to the authenticity of the learning, and it's such a crucial life skill. Finally, students are given more responsibility over the use of their own time, so that they can genuinely personalise the learning to suit their own needs. Our staff coach them to do this using the iGrow model, as well as encouraging students to respond to the publicly visible success criteria that helps to structure each learning milestone.
Another strategy that we have been building into our classroom routines is retrieval practice. It's a learning strategy rather than an assessment tool, and it's used to support students to understand concepts and learn and remember them better. The latest evidence-based research suggests that our brains have quite a low storage capacity in comparison to its retrieval strength, and that almost all new information stored in our short-term memory is lost or forgotten if it's not rehearsed. So every time information is retrieved from our long-term memories, the memory becomes stronger. So what does this look like in the classroom? The strategies involve students working independently to recall learned information from their memory, without access to textbooks or notes. So it is not rereading or note-taking. It's actively retrieving and rehearsing information to make it stick. We need to do this multiple times and space this retrieval before it is remembered in the long term. This involves students retrieving concepts that may have been covered a few days, a few weeks, a few months, or even a few years earlier. This can be via quizzes, flashcards, brain dumps, or knowledge maps, just to name a few. In some classrooms, retrieval practice activities are labelled as CPR, which stands for Connect to Prior Learning Retrieval Practice. So students know that when they see the logo, that they are expected to retrieve this information from their brains to help them to embed it in their long-term memory. It's a very powerful strategy to activate students to think hard and reflect on what they need to work on.
So a strategy that we've been working on at Council Academy has been looking at the latest research and findings from the Education Endowment Foundation on how to provide the most effective feedback for students in the classroom. So we're a research-informed school and we want to use evidence to inform how best to bring these strategies into the classroom. So your child might talk at home about how their teacher helps them to move their learning forward by marking live there in the lessons. That may be verbal, that may be written, and that could be addressed to individuals or groups, or it may even be to the whole class. So live marking is proven to have beneficial impacts for students to move their learning forward. Of course, we have written feedback that students might receive on maybe a targeted piece of work or an assessment that they've completed. Verbal feedback, either at that moment in the lesson or possibly to address some learning that's taken place in the lesson before. All teachers use a visualizer, in that they can then model the expectations of the work that's going to be completed to support students to go back and maybe look at some areas that need some improvements. And we also provide whole class feedback, where we provide to the whole class areas of successes, areas of improvement, and giving them that time to then action those improvements. And in some lessons, there might also be other ways in which feedback can be provided to students through recorded feedback with a video, gallery marking, sort of displaying all of the working, looking at everybody's learning, and even rubrics and colour coded, so that students know exactly what they need to do to move their learning forward.
So what's it like to be a student in a LiFE Multi-Academy Trust classroom? Well, the first thing to notice is that we have expert teaching from professional staff, and all staff carry with them the vision that they want to improve, they want to be the best possible version of themselves, and that sort of development is something we're very keen and proud of here in our LiFE schools. Second is that the learning is contextualised, the relevance of the learning is made clear to all our learners, so what's in it for them effectively, how does it link to them into their everyday life. And the assessments are carefully selected by all teachers across the schools, and the feedback provided is of a quality which will enable all students to make progress. But I think most important value, if you like, from the teaching perspective is this whole idea that learning and teaching is a partnership. Students are done with rather than done to, and we work together with our students in maximising their potential. So we have that sort of that bond, that communication with our students to ensure that all of them can make the progress that they so desire. And finally, that there's a sense of belonging, that students feel that they are known both within the classroom and the wider school, and from a pastoral side, all the tutors are obviously fantastic at knowing their students and help them to be the best possible versions of themselves.